بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Allah the Exalted says in the Quran, وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. This means he does not utter from whim. It is not but revelation revealed. Allah the Exalted praised the words of our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. He praised his utterance. And oh, what a beautiful utterance it is. And oh, what beautiful speech it is. And oh, what beautiful eloquence it has. Our Master alayhi salatu wassalam was the most eloquent of God's creations. His speech was beautiful and serene. When he spoke, light would come forth from his front teeth. He alayhi salatu wassalam used to speak with clear, articulated, flowing speech, understood by everyone who heard it, and one would be able to memorize it. Had his speech been something that could be counted, one would have been able to count it. It was narrated that Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, after the death of our Master Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, sat in front of Lady Aisha's room in the masjid, and he began to recount the hadiths of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wassalam. That's because he became the one who reported the most hadiths from the Prophet radiyallahu anhu. He started saying one hadith after another. قال رسول الله قال رسول الله. The Messenger of Allah said, the Messenger of Allah said, the Messenger of Allah said. Meanwhile, the people were listening to his delivery, and Lady Aisha was in the room hearing it, but she was praying. By the time she finished her prayers, Abu Hurairah had left. Then she, may Allah raise her rank, spoke to them, saying, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not rush while speaking as you have done. Rather, he would enunciate and articulate in such a way that whoever heard it could understand it and memorize it if he wanted to memorize it. However, Abu Hurairah had a good reason to do what he did, just as Lady Aisha had as well. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he wanted to speak, he would start by mentioning Allah the Exalted. Thus, he would start speaking with the Basmalah. And doing that makes one less likely to talk in a way that is unacceptable to Allah, because you will not mention the Basmalah for forbidden words or what is not acceptable to Allah. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam had continuous sadness in his heart. He was always thinking, and his speech was little. If he did speak, he said only as much as needed. He was gifted the special ability of 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐒𝐲𝐞, concision of words. This means that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew how to use words that were, in terms of number, few, but in terms of meaning, very prolific. Everyone would understand his speech. He would address the people on their level. He would not insult any food or flavor. He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, would not get angry for worldly reasons. If he did become angry, he would be angry for the sake of Allah. Then, no one would prevent or stand between the Prophet and him bidding the lawful and forbidding the evil. Also, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to smile at his companions. Amongst his hadiths is that which he said, عَلَيْكُمْ بِطُولِ الصَّمْتِ إِلَّا مِنْ خَيْرٍ. Upon you is exercising lengthy silence except from the good. And he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ما دمت سالما ما سكت فإن تكلمت كتب لك أو عليك. You are safe as long as you are silent, for if you speak, it shall be written for you or against you. When our Prophet ﷺ would deliver a speech, it would be as if he was warning an army. He would turn right and left, and his eyes would be red. Whenever he would shake someone's hand, he would not pull his hand away until the other person did so first. Whenever he would turn, ﷺ, he would turn with his entire body and not only his face. And in this is a great demonstration of interest in the other person. Whenever the listener or speaker was talking to our Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet wanted to turn to him, he would turn in his entirety, and that person would be delighted and happy. Upon that, the Prophet ﷺ would smile at his companions and listen to what they had to say. The Prophet ﷺ also cried if the matter called for crying. It is reported that the Prophet ﷺ said to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, "اقرأ علي شيئا من القرآن." Recite something from the Quran for me. So that noble companion said, "Ya Rasulullah, should I read to you, although to you it was revealed?" He's saying, "It is you who taught us the Quran, and Jibreel alayhi salam brought it down onto you. Is it becoming that I then read it to you?" So the Prophet ﷺ said, "أحب أن أسمعه من غيري." I love to hear it from someone besides myself. So Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu read Surah An-Nisa until he came to the verse, فَكَيْفَ إِذَا جِئْنَا مِنْ كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ بِشَهِيدٍ وَجِئْنَا بِكَ عَلَى هَؤُلَاءِ شَهِيدًا. This means, so how will the circumstances of the blasphemers be when we bring from every nation a witness to testify against them for what they did? Then we bring you, O Muhammad, against those believers and disbelievers of your nation as a witness. The Prophet ﷺ said to Ibn Mas'ud, "Hasbuk," enough. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, فرفعت نظري فرأيت عيني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تذرفان من الدمع. So I raised my gaze and I saw the eyes of the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم shedding tears. Yes, even the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم is touched by the Quran. The meaning of this verse is that the prophets on the day of resurrection are questioned. So to show their honor and to show that they have fulfilled their task and delivered to the nations, then it will be said to the people, "Who shall testify for you that you have been served the message?" They say, "Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam." Thus, Allah the Exalted said what means, "And when we bring you, O Muhammad, against those as a witness." Ya Habibi, Ya Rasulullah. I love his words. I love his eloquence. I love his laughter, and I love his smile. I love his way of joking. I love his seriousness. I love the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, however he is. The Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wassalam would sometimes joke, but he would not say anything but the truth. Many instances of his way of joking were reported. For example, a man came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam seeking an animal to ride. He was saying, "Ya Rasulullah, give me a ride." When the Prophet ﷺ saw him hopeless, he said, "Yes, I shall give you a ride upon the offspring of a she-camel." It did not occur to the man what the child of the she-camel includes. He only thought of the small young one. So he said, "Ya Rasulullah, what would the offspring of a she-camel carry?" So the Prophet said, "Is the grown camel born from anything but a she-camel?" The Prophet ﷺ wanted to joke with him. And about this same topic was narrated that there was a man who was not very attractive. His name was Zahir, and he lived in the outskirts. He would come to the Messenger of Allah with items from the outskirts, and the Prophet would give him items from the city. One day, the Prophet ﷺ came to Zahir from behind him and embraced him, without Zahir knowing who had embraced him. So Zahir started saying, "Release me, who are you? Release me." But when he knew that it was the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he gave no resistance to his back being against the chest of the Messenger of Allah. Look how the situation changed. He wanted to escape at first. Then after he knew who it was, he wanted to remain in the hands of the Prophet ﷺ. Then the Prophet said, "Man yashtari hadha al-abd," which means, "Who will buy this slave?" The Prophet meant the one who appears to be a slave. So Zahir said, "Idhan tajiduni kasidan ya Rasulullah." Then you shall find me unsold, O Messenger of Allah. In this they were joking together. Then the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said to him, "Walakin anta inda Allahi ghalin." But you are to Allah very valuable. Ma sha Allah, hani'an laka ya Zahir. Congratulations to you, O Zahir, for such sweet words from the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. Our Prophet ﷺ spoke to the people on their level, and when he spoke, he would speak as required by the situation, for every situation has its appropriate statement. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ was the most eloquent of creations. If he spoke to the people, he would talk to them about what they understood, not about what is difficult for them. He is the most eloquent creation. If he addressed the eloquent ones, he addressed them with the highest eloquence. He also spoke to others with this high eloquence, and although we did not understand the meanings of some words except by looking at the explanations, it is clear to us that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ had a lot of eloquence, but he used to speak to the people in accordance with their intellects. We ask Allah the Exalted to bless us with being gathered under the banner of our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and that we be granted seeing him while awake and in sleep, and to hear from him the sweet words. For indeed, Allah has over what we ask the power. Walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah, and Allah knows best.